Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, when you're too out of shape to run from your own problems. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. Oh, can I relate to that intro?
Oh boy.
So Trevin, you just got back from CrimeCon.
Correct.
Before you, and I'm assuming maybe your dreadful dilemma has to do with traveling.
It does.
But if it doesn't really touch, can you just give us a brief synopsis on how CrimeCon went?
I can. Everybody, this is the promised land. This is where we're headed. We're going to CrimeCon. I mean, I just went, but I should get us a table next year. I just have a really good feeling.
Yeah.
CrimeCon was exactly what I needed in this moment.
Ooh.
As a podcaster, you get a little bogged down sometimes, especially when you got a 9 to 5 and just all these other things. I'm getting married. And sometimes you don't get enough reassurance with your work. And I think that's part of being an insecure artist is that that's going to happen sometimes.
I'm right there with you. So yes.
So I got to share a table with Shane Waters of Foul Play and Mystery Inc. Awesome guy. Go check out his stuff. Support him. He's amazing and a big part of what's probably going to help us be where we're going to be here soon.
Yeah, so thank you, Shane.
The crowd at CrimeCon was so good. They said there was like 5,000 people in attendance there. It was nuts.
Damn.
I was just running the table, talking to every single person that came by. And as I was telling you before we started, I would say about 8 out of 10 people, their eyes lit up in excitement. We're just like, this is a really fun idea for a show.
I love that.
From what Amanda and I deal with, a lot of times our marketing is with the internet. So you get a lot of people on Reddit, and you get a lot of people with attitudes. You get a lot of the Karens that like to give 1-star reviews that things don't go their way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you're on the internet, you learn that there's a very vocal minority with a lot of things, with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can kind of give you the idea that that's all that's out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes the people who just really love to sit and listen to podcasts, they're not super vocal about it. Some people are just like, oh, it's my fun little quirky thing. I listen to podcasts while I knit or something.
Yeah.
They don't go and make a big deal about it. But as somebody who's like a Karen who wants to, talk about how powerful they are because they know the manager, they are very loud and they're very easy to find. They're kind of mines in the minefield to miss. So anyway, I got to meet a lot of people who were just legit podcast listeners. And I forget that the real world is so much better than the internet world. And everybody was just so nice. I met so many different people who... I met some people that they said they worked for the police and they handle, when there's like fires, they investigate what caused the fire and stuff like that.
Oh, snap.
And she said, oh, I've got a lot of arson stories. And I said, send them in.
Oh my God, please do.
I told her a couple of the fire stories we've already done. I said, we can do more.
Yeah.
I've got so many people that just said, I love the petty aspect of it. And so many people said, I got stories.
Did you ever say, I'm actually being a petty criminal, even attending CrimeCon? Because I snuck in?
I didn't quite say that.
Maybe don't do that to the people coming to the table. Good idea.
Yeah, I wanted to look like I belonged.
Exactly.
I wore my petty criminal shirt, and a lot of people love that. A lot of people love the Cats, Wine, and Petty Crime shirt.
Ooh, okay.
I had a couple people just say, your website has that shirt. Can I buy that? And I was like, even without listening to my show? Sure. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just really liked what we have going on. They love our logo and everything. And it just made me feel so good because on the internet, a lot of people are very unimpressed because everybody would rather just say, well, look at me instead of like, oh, well, I want to recognize you for what you do and stuff like that. It's not always the most genuine place. So it was really nice where I felt like the internet was kind of beating us down and maybe we weren't going anywhere. It made me feel so good to just see regular people out and about who are interested.
Ah, that's what I love. I'm still so jealous. And it sounds like you met a lot of really, really, really cool podcasters too.
Yeah. Shout out to Rebecca Sebastian from Criminality. And she used to have the show called Dialogue. Big Mad True Crime. Heather Ashley, she's awesome. met Mama Mystery, hung out with the Generation Y guys, Crawl Space. There's going to be a lot of places we're going to start popping up here soon. And I think that's just going to get us closer to getting our own table next year. Because even Emily, she was so proud of me. She was like, you're doing so good. You're talking to all these people. You're not shying away from it. You're selling it. I was a salesman, you know. But she was like, if you had Amanda there, I think us together would have been a more memorable meeting,
because we are a dynamic duo, okay?
Yes.
I definitely am going next year. I don't care if we have to bust in again. I'm going,
Hell yeah.
which it's going to be in Nashville, which I've never been.
I've never been either, no.
So yeehaw, cowboy up, cowgirl up, and let's go. I'm so proud of you for representing our show, and I have to be there next year. I mean, everything you've said about it just sounds like that's our next place to be.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And I want us to be the resident funny people of Comic-Con. Or goddamn it, CrimeCon.
I mean, any con that'll have us.
Fuck, I'll go to Comic-Con.
So, Trevin.
Yes.
What is your dreadful dilemma this week?
So my dreadful dilemma also has to do with traveling, and it actually does have to do with the convention side of things. So because we went to the convention, the whole thing is at a resort, and then there was also a satellite hotel that was also a resort that you could get cheaper for being a part of it. So I used the CrimeCon discount, and I went and stayed at one of the satellite hotels. So nice. So nice. Emily and I did not belong there one bit. There's all of these people that are just beautiful, like Instagram model people. Like there's a waterfall in the pool, and they were standing in front of it and just taking pictures of themselves and all this stuff. Every morning at 8 a.m., dance music starts, and it does not stop until...
Oh my God, this sounds like the place to be.
I think 11 o'clock at night. So from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., that whole main area, it's got the waterfall pool and everything. It's just kicking this boom, 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 music.
Nice.
There's a bar that's open the whole time there. But this is the thing, is I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into, because everybody's told me like, hey, Florida prices are very similar to our prices here. A lot of friends at work are like, I want to retire and go to Florida because it's not that big of a change money-wise. But I had never been to a resort before. And I was bouncing back and forth between, am I going to Uber everywhere or am I going to rent a car? And we chose to Uber everywhere. But resorts are made in a very specific way to where they seclude you to the resort where they have everything you'll ever need, because nothing is conveniently close by. So they're hoping that you only use their restaurants. They're hoping that you only get drinks from their bars and stuff like that. Now, I think a resort is an amazing idea. I would love an all-inclusive resort that was somewhere by the ocean. I think that would be great. But a resort that's not by the ocean is kind of silly. Sure, you've got the pool, you got the waterfall, you got the amenities, but there's not that much you can do besides just relax. And if I'm going to relax, I'd rather go do that by the ocean.
Right.
So you're secluded from everything, and everything's so expensive. And they make it very easy for them to just like, you want to charge it to the room? I'll just charge it to the room.
That'll get you.
So we show up there, and they charge you an incidental $100 per night. And then they say, we'll give you this back. It's just in case something happens.
God damn.
They got every single bit of that back from me, because you go in and you just sign something to the room until eventually I used up all of that $300. So it's just a very expensive life. The drinks were $17.
What?
$17 drinks. I don't think I ever had a meal at that place that was less than $100. And that's because I also had a drink. But come on, I was on vacation.
Wow.
That was my main issue, was just how expensive everything was and how easy it was to sign things to the room. And it was very awesome, and I loved it. I would do a resort again on the ocean, but I don't think I'd ever do one not on the ocean.
Yes. I've done 2 resorts, one in the Dominican Republic and one in Jamaica, right immediately on the ocean. And it's everything in the world. But yeah, it sounds kind of similar to, remember one of my dreadful dilemmas was the Virginia trip and how we were trapped out in the wilderness. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay yours, but you at least got a fountain in the pool with hotties. We were just out in the wilderness, okay? But I hear you. That is expensive, and it does feel like you're trapped, because where else are you going to go?
Right. And these resorts are outside of the airport area, so there's really no good businesses around. But anyway, it was a great trip. That was just an expensive part. It was very different because first half of it all was in this resort doing the convention stuff, and then our second half was in Daytona. So we went from like lavish to like, you know, more within our means, but we had the ocean, and which I gotta say I like the ocean part more. Because nothing is better than just taking some edibles and sitting by the water.
Oh my God.
Every single day.
Well, that can be your dream for your life then, Trevin.
Yeah.
But so glad that you went and so glad that you represented us. And hello to any new listeners who may have come from the convention.
Yes, the future is bright.
Well, before we get to our bright future, I also have a dreadful dilemma. You're probably going to like this one, Trevin, because it has to do with football, okay?
Okie dokie. Oh, is this Taylor Swift?
So, thanks to Taylor Swift, football has been infiltrating areas of my life that I never thought possible. Let me give you a few examples. I listen to multiple pop culture podcasts. I have a couple favorite ones. The Chiefs were mentioned on both the Chiefs football game because Taylor Swift, of course, is rumored to be dating Travis Kelce, who plays on the Chiefs. So not only has football been inserting that area of my life, but also my oldest daughter, Lila, who's 5, was trying to start a conversation with one of my friends that I had over for dinner the other night. And she kept trying to interrupt me and my friend when we were talking. And finally, I was just like, what, Lila? And she wanted to talk to my friend. And she goes, did you know that Taylor Swift was at football? And so... needless to say, yeah, Lila doesn't usually talk about football, but we watched it at my parents' house. We watched the Chiefs game. Her and I were just playing the whole time, not watching the game. But you bet your ass every time T-Swizzle was on the screen in the box, we stopped what we were doing to watch.
Hell yeah. And she looked like she was having a good time.
Oh my God. They said that she was eating like chicken wings and ranch and in love with Travis Kelce's mother.
God, here we go. Did you see one of the paparazzi people had said that they saw her eating chicken nuggets and ketchup, and then they said what is, quote, seemingly ranch? Like they said they didn't know if it was ranch or not, so they said seemingly ranch. And now Heinz is actually doing a limited thing of ketchup and seemingly ranch.
Wait, they're specifically saying seemingly? What in the actual fuck?
Heinz already has Cranch, which is ketchup and ranch.
Yeah.
But they're just relabeling a small amount of them as ketchup and seemingly ranch as a joke to that.
Oh my, like what the hell else is it, guys?
I think they're only doing like 40,000 or something with that label. So the Swifties will probably go out of their way and get it and try to eBay it or something.
Probably. I love mixing ketchup and ranch. I've never bought the kind where it's already pre-mixed, but I always mix it.
Yeah, it seems weird to me. Like when you buy the peanut butter and jelly in one jar.
Let me control my own life.
Yes, please.
So, in honor of spooky season, okay, we are going to be doing a round of top 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Top 5. And I don't know if yours has anything to do with spooky season, so I'm sorry if I built that up for you.
We can squint and make it sound like it is.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. So, today I'm going to be talking about the most common crimes committed on Halloween.
Oh, cool. So this is very spooky season.
It's very, yes. I'm getting us in the spirit early. I'm giving you guys a heads up. So maybe if you hear this in time, you can avoid getting arrested on Halloween. So do you have any guesses?
Theft? Assault?
Why did we both giggle after that? Because we're not used to talking about it.
Yeah, it felt really unnatural. Streaking or what was that? Like flashing or something?
What is that? Disorderly conduct or indecent exposure or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, those are all solid guesses, okay?
Let's go with robbery as well because people already have masks on, so it makes it easier to rob a store.
There you go. The list that I have compiled was actually gathered from 2 separate websites, but I wanted to shout them out because both websites that I compiled this mishmash of a list with are both attorney websites, okay?
Oh.
And I thought it was really funny. For those who need an attorney in Minnesota, listen up. You should probably go to bkdefense.com.
Burger King?
And for those in New Jersey who need an attorney, you should probably go to attorneyshartman.com. Not to be confused with Attorney Shartman. Okay, so I'm going to start with number 5 on the list, and that is vandalism.
Oh, yep. That's a good one.
I have a couple little facts here. There are on average 17% more crime-related claims on Halloween, according to Travelers Insurance. Also, 60% of property crimes involving theft occur during this time. So number 4 on the list is assault. You did guess that one.
Waka waka.
A Northeastern University professor claims that violent crimes increase by as much as 50% on Halloween, which is 2 times the daily average.
So when I said assault, I was thinking kids fighting over candy or like rob each other in that sense. I wasn't actually thinking somebody just going out and beating somebody up or something.
Probably just because of all the partying going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're not talking about kids. We're talking adults here.
We're talking grown-ass adults. Number 3 is disorderly conduct. Examples of this include a brawl or fight, disturbing a lawful assembly or meeting, engaging in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, or noisy conduct, or engaging in offensive, obscene, or abusive language, tending reasonably to arouse alarm, anger, or resentment in others.
Not resentment.
God forbid. Number 2 on the list is underage drinking.
Oh, yep.
Teenagers drink 11% of all alcohol consumed in the United States. Did you know that?
You know, I guess I never really thought about that. That 11 sounds...
What,
does
does
that
it
sound
seem
low
small?
or high to you?
Well, I don't know if it sounds low or high. I keep going back and forth, honestly.
I feel the same way.
Now, number 1, DWI. According to the NHTSA, 40% of car accident fatalities on Halloween night are due to drinking and driving.
Whoa.
So don't drink and drive. That's what Uber is for. Okay, everyone?
Correct.
Or Lyft or whatever.
That makes me think of your story about the Tin Man with the DUI.
Oh my God.
But that wasn't Halloween. That was for a Wizard of Oz festival or something.
Yeah. I forgot all about that story. Are we at that point in our career as podcasters?
Well, this is episode 130, so I'm not surprised.
Good job, though. You did get a couple of them.
Yeah, that was kind of tricky. There's a lot of things I didn't really think about there. But yeah, underage drinking should have been an obvious one.
When I was looking it up, that was not what I was thinking either. So you're not alone.
I didn't think DUIs were going to be that high.
Apparently they are.
Yikes. Well, I'm going to do one that's not spooky, but we're going to make it spooky.
Ooh, love it.
I want to do the top 5 most dangerous trees.
I'm so scared.
Spooky trees. So while I was in Florida, Emily and I, we sat there and I felt like the world was just in widescreen. I was like, the world is so wide here. I would sit on the beach and as far as I could look in my peripherals, straight out, I could see nothing but ocean. And I thought, this is just a big, beautiful, wide world.
Ooh.
And I thought, why do I not really ever feel that way at home? Like I said, I was enjoying some edibles by the water. We were trying to catch little fish. We looked like children out there. We were sitting in the shallow stuff like, I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one. Like we were just having so much fun.
I love that.
But anyway, I was trying to tell myself, I know you're in relax mode. And sure, this is probably just a dumb thought on edibles. But I was like, you need to think hard about this when you get home and figure out why Florida felt so wide and why nothing feels wide here. I have a couple different ideas, but I realized, well, I don't have that many uninterrupted skylines here because we've either got buildings or we are just surrounded by trees. So when I was out on my back porch this morning writing, I realized although I'm outside and although I'm looking to my left, I'm looking to my right, there's trees around me everywhere.
Yeah.
So I still kind of feel like I'm enclosed within these trees. There was only one little stretch of the highway out by our house where I was like, look, I can actually see hills for a little bit. But there's just so many different trees and stuff. So I was like, damn you trees. My world's not very wide. So I want to talk about the real trees that we should be hating here.
Okay, give it to us.
I'm coming from green.earth, but it also says the DGB group at the top.
Okay.
So number 5 on the most dangerous trees is the oleander, which I think there was a movie called White-oleander. I don't really know if it has anything to do with trees. Oleander plant contains several toxic items such as saponins, cardiac glycosides, and oleandrin. The plant might cause visual disturbances, rashes, fainting, lethargy, and even irregular heartbeats.
Oh my God.
Despite these dangerous properties, oleander seeds and leaves are used to make medicine.
Ooh, what kind? I'm like, if it increases your heart rate, wow.
Yeah, maybe it's for somebody who has a slow heart rate. I don't know.
Maybe.
Number 4 is the milky mangrove. Milky mangroves grow as shrubs or trees and can reach up to 15 meters. It is distributed from New South Wales through Queensland and Northern Territory to Western Australia. The sap of milky mangroves causes severe skin blisters and temporary blindness when it touches the eyes. The timber of the milky mangrove is used in canoe construction due to its soft and light texture. In addition, milky mangroves protect shorelines from damaging storms and hurricane winds, waves, and floods.
It's kind of crazy that that's such good wood to carve into and use, but it's like, don't fuck with me or I'll make you blind.
Yeah, don't get it in your eyes, don't get it on your skin. So It makes me wonder if when you're harvesting that, if...
Probably have to have a full body suit.
Yeah, gloves and stuff. Number 3 is the bunya pine. This tree is found in the Queensland region of Northeast Australia. That's another one for Queensland.
My God.
These pine nuts are perfectly safe and delicious to eat, but the bunya pine cones are football-sized and can be as heavy as 10 kilograms. When these cones fall from their branches, they can knock down anybody and can result in serious injuries.
Whoa, yeah. Oh my God.
I found that one really interesting because it's not that it has any weird chemical properties. It just might knock you out at the wrong point.
That's large. The size of a football? Holy hell.
Yeah, that's a big-ass pine cone. I'd love to see one. Number 2 is the suicide tree. The suicide tree can be found in India and in several parts of southern Asia. This tree is named especially after people committing suicide by eating its fruits. Its scientific name is Cerebra idoleum. It mainly grows near marshy areas and in the coastal swamps. Despite its fatal properties, it is planted as a hedgerow in gardening, and the seeds are used to make industrial rat poison and insect repellents.
Oh my God. I would not want to have that as a hedge in my yard.
Yeah, so it's basically just naturally poisonous.
Whoa.
And number 1, the man-chenille tree.
Have you noticed that 2 of these trees have the word man in them?
Ladies. The fruit of this particular tree looks like an apple and feels like an apple, but is extremely dangerous for anybody's health. The man-chenille tree is native to the Caribbean coasts, including regions such as Florida, Central and South America, and Mexico. It is nicknamed the manzanilla de la muerte, little apple of death.
Woo!
The fruit can be potentially fatal, and the milky sap from the tree can cause extreme allergic reactions and blisters. So why do man-chenille trees still exist then?
Seriously?
They definitely have some positives. They are ideal for the Caribbean soil. They stabilize the sand in the soil, prevent beach erosions, and act as natural windbreakers. In addition, the man-chenille is widely used for interior finishes and furniture building.
I'm sorry, but we gotta stop touching the dangerous trees for furniture and canoes and all this, you guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be that worth it.
That's got to be a really efficient thinker, because there's probably a whole bunch of people in the past that were like, do not mess with these trees. And one person said, but I can make a profit off this somehow.
They're like, there's gotta be some sort of a use. But I love how you talked about these last ones, how they actually hold the earth together, basically.
Yeah.
That's kind of important as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say, oh, I hate snakes. I wish none of them existed.
Yeah.
Which I wish they didn't. But at the same time, they get rid of critters that are bad.
For me, I always think of diseases that are after us or other animals that are after us or, you know, all these other things. But I never think about plants that are after us. And it turns out that there really are very deadly trees. You know what else I am just desperate to talk to you about?
Non-dairy cheese substitutes?
No silly ads. We are back, and I'm going first this week. Trevin and I have been talking about how these next few stories, we kind of wanted to encompass the month of October, okay? Get us all in the Halloween spirit. And so I'm going to dip my toe into the spooky pond with this one.
Ooh.
I'm going to do this by telling a news story that takes place at a very unassuming fall location. It's one that most of us have probably experienced. So here we go. Do you smell that? No, I'm not talking about your coworker's lingering perfume or the silent yet deadly fart you've just released into your car. Autumn is among us. There are whiffs of pumpkin lattes and dying trees swirling around in the air. But even more prominent in the fall breeze is the smell of romance. I theorize that the cooler weather naturally draws couples together for warmth. Also, jumping into a pile of leaves just isn't as fun when you're alone.
Yay, leaves.
Whatever the real reason, this time of year is designed for lovers. Cozy socks encourage flirty rounds of footsie. Warm drinks moisten kissable lips. And the crisp winds will make anyone's nipples hard.
Ooh.
It's spooky season, yes. But it's also sultry season. So snuggle in and listen up as I tell you a petty crime story that was instigated by infatuation. It was a beautiful October day in Moriarty, New Mexico, as aggressive sounds of stabbing rang throughout a local park. These weren't the typical stabby noises heard during a mugging or a local LARPing event.
On guard, nerd!
These stabs were done out of pure love by a young couple standing together behind a tree. "It's beautiful," Matt said as he stepped back from the tree to admire his work.
I love you, baby.
Lauren giggled as she stared dreamily at the carving in the tree. The letters L+M were carved into the bark, surrounded by a lopsided heart and dated with the year 2011. Lauren and Matt both attended the same college, but were taking some time away from their studies to celebrate their first anniversary. The two walked hand in hand from the park towards the local and beloved McCall's Pumpkin Patch, giddy with excitement. They planned on spending the day indulging in fall festivities, building up to a romantic evening.
I'm not wearing any panties.
The couple's day began with a flirtatious chase through the corn maze and a nostalgic spin on the carousel ride. Lauren was impressed watching Matt throw axes at wooden bullseyes, and Matt was mesmerized watching Lauren riding the mechanical bull. This led to a quick and sexually charged roll in the hay, ending with 2 cups of hot cocoa. The day at the pumpkin patch was perfect. Trying to walk and kiss at the same time, Lauren and Matt headed towards the exit. But just as they were about to leave, Lauren spotted something out of the corner of her eye.
Oh, look at that little baby pumpkin, Maddie. I just gotta have one.
Lauren pleaded with a fake pout. "I don't have any more cash on me, babe. You've spent it already." Matt teased with his girlfriend.
You get a free pumpkin with admission, silly.
Lauren lovingly clapped back as she grabbed 2 small pumpkins for each of them. The pair stepped into the exit line, immediately wrapping their arms back around each other, kissing and sniffing each other's neck. As they displayed their public affection, the line around them began to move slowly, guiding them blindly out of the front doors. They were so distracted by their love pheromones, they almost didn't realize they had exited the pumpkin patch. That is, until a loud voice popped their love bubble, bringing them back down to reality.
You pumpkin pillagers!
An old and cranky voice screamed.
No one gets away with one of my gourds for free!
On October 28th of 2011, college sweethearts Lauren Medina and Matt Schindel attended McCall's Pumpkin Patch, located in Moriarty, New Mexico. As the couples exited the patch, they left with 2 pumpkins, smaller than the size of a basketball and valued at $5 each. They were followed out by the angry owner, Kevin McCall, accusing them of shoplifting the pumpkins. Lauren and Matt explained that they thought the price of admission included a pumpkin and offered to pay. But the owner insisted that was never the case. Instead of the dispute ending there, an officer at the scene apprehended the couple, and they were charged with shoplifting. A trial was held the following year, in February of 2012, over the petty pumpkin thefts. The trial lasted 2 hours, discussing every detail of the case. Ultimately, the judge said that the dollar amount didn't matter, but the fact that the two stole pumpkins without paying did. Not only did the shoplifting charge remain, but the Lovebirds were additionally hit with 40 hours of community service and were responsible to pay their court fees of $73. After the trial, Matt was quoted, saying, "I would say we didn't mean to start any of this. There was no intent to steal those pumpkins, but apparently the judge ruled otherwise." Lauren shared a similar sentiment, responding with,
It wasn't worth any of this time or money or McCall's business.
The one who ultimately felt justice was Kevin McCall himself, stating,
The folks in front of them didn't have a pumpkin in their hand, and the folks behind them didn't have a pumpkin in their hand. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and at the end of the day, the truth will be out, and I feel the truth is out, and the judge saw the truth.
"Do you smell that? The overpowering stench of romance and pettiness? Regardless, it's lurking all around us in the autumn air. I urge you all not only to breathe it in with caution, but perhaps avoid falling in love altogether, because no warm and fuzzy feeling can outweigh the guilt and pain of forgetting to pay for your pumpkin."
Yeah, I would say that probably wasn't worth it.
Yeah. You know how we have crimes sometimes where we're like, that's all they got for that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the exact opposite.
I feel like in most cases, somebody would call them out and they'd say, I'll pay for it, and just let it be. Between you both, you're like, I don't think I believe you, but at least you're paying. You go on.
Right. I know. So this trial, I wanted to say, like, this happened the following year. This was something that should have just been settled outside of court. Like, are you kidding me? But I did find it interesting because it seemed like the judge was very much on the pumpkin patch guy's side.
Right. For $10 for the pumpkins.
Dude, $5 each. They were both smaller than a basketball. I don't have any pictures. This is a very weird, obscure, small town crime that I only found 3 articles for. But it was one of those where I wanted to do something with a pumpkin patch. I wanted to, like I said, dip my toe in. My stories will continue to get spookier.
Uh-oh.
But for this, I wanted a place that we all feel safe going. And also, I looked up the actual pumpkin patch website, and I made sure that everything that I said that the couple was doing there, they have all those events.
I love doing that.
Yeah, they have a pumpkin blaster. I didn't get into that. I really wanted to do like a pumpkin explosion sound, but I didn't get that far, I don't think, when I described it. I talked about all the different events that they have. So, yeah.
It sounds like a lovely place to fall in love.
But you know what, though? I feel like if people know about this whole situation, I don't know if I'd want to go. Like, am I going to get in trouble if I do one little thing wrong?
Some people might think of that as more authentic. Like, oh, a grumpy-ass farmer runs it? That shit's legit.
That's a good point. Are you a pumpkin patch guy?
You know, I do like pumpkin patches.
Yeah.
We don't go that often. We have the Fun Farm in Kearney, which was on Netflix's Quarterback. Mahomes rented the whole thing out once.
That's where they were. Okay. I was wondering because it wasn't the one I usually go to. Okay.
Yeah, I love that one. It's a small town very close to where I grew up. It's expensive to get into, but a lot of the little games on the side are just kind of sitting there. Like, you can stack up your own wooden milk cartons and throw balls at it all you want. And you don't have to pay somebody to do it.
Have you gone to the Caroline's Pumpkin Patch one?
I took a girl there once, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, man. They got little things to jump on. They got the pumpkin donuts.
They got the corn maze.
Oh, God. But yeah, I tried to make sure all of that was accurate. all the facts that I know their names. I know they were in college. I know they were on a date. They said they were on a date. I don't know if it was their anniversary. I made that up. And I don't know how in love they were or if they're still together or anything. I just wanted to create this in love magical feeling of fall and autumn time at the pumpkin patch. And it ended with a petty crime and a long, long drawn out trial and everything for what this was.
Imagine if they did break up. And they're like, well, I'll see you in a year for court over these stupid ass pumpkins.
Oh my God. I kind of hope that was the case.
That would be pretty funny. There'd be more reason to want to avoid it.
Yeah.
I like that. I didn't even think about the loving aspect of fall, even though I am getting married in fall.
Yeah, what the hell?
But I do find it as a very romantic time. Way more romantic than February.
Oh, God.
I was born in that month, and I'm still just like, there's no romance here.
No, it's cold. It's gloomy. What?
And I'm still hungover for Christmas shopping, so I don't really want to buy anything nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like the old man farmer might have been a little petty himself, but as far as crimes go, his hands were clean.
That's very true. It was kind of one of those where, honestly, it kind of felt like the victims of this were the more petty ones. Even like in the quotes, those were direct quotes like I always do. And he just seemed very angry, even when he got the result he wanted.
It's kind of funny when we do these follow-up quotes. Sometimes people are just so overly something. Like they're either overly confident or overly angry.
Yeah.
And you just can't ignore them. You have to put them in the story because it helps kind of show where you think you got your character's character from.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. This is the only thing that I have in there that I don't know if it was true or not. One article said that the couple immediately when the guy came out offered to pay, but no other article said even that much detail about it. So I put it in there that that's what they said they did. I don't know, but to me, if I was the owner and someone was like, oh, I'll immediately pay you, just take the money. Go about your day.
Just take it.
You know?
Or if you want to be a jackass, be like, pay double. Or I'll tell. Like something out of a movie. But still, I think even in that situation, if I really don't think you're bluffing and you're going to bring the police into this and make my day way longer,
yeah,
sure, I'll pay you double.
If they would have known what their life was going to entail, they probably would have paid extra.
For sure.
So I don't honestly know if they did it intentionally. They both claim that they didn't. When I took Lila on the little Red Barn Farm.
Red Barn Farm, yep.
Yeah, in Weston. We went there for a fall field trip with her preschool, and they said everyone gets a pumpkin. So places do give out pumpkins for admission. I can see how this could happen very easily. Yeah,
pumpkins go bad all the time and have to get thrown out or get broken by people stepping on them. I mean, it's just too...
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I loved it. That was a good angle. You're right. Our stories are going to be very different this week.
I know.
You're going to have to help me find a connection because I didn't think about thinking about it until towards the end.
Ooh, okay.
So this week, I'm going to start what I'm calling Trevin's Trilogy of Terror.
Oh, my.
So one story I've had for about 3 years now, and I've been saying I'm going to use it for Halloween. And then I use a different one every time.
Damn.
And a lot of our stories are already kind of ominous and brooding and dark. And so you could obviously say that every episode of ours is kind of Halloween-y.
Yeah.
We're still going to have the Halloween special, but my goal is for 3 of the 4 weeks of October, I will do spooky-based crimes. Or tell them in a spooky way, at least. Because as a kid, I grew up and I loved The Simpsons, always did the Treehouse of Horror. Oh, I always loved those. I was a big fan of Tiny Toons, and they always did so many movie parody things. Huge fan of that show. They always had a Halloween one, and it was like the Night Gallery, the show that the guy from Twilight Zone did after Twilight Zone.
Okay.
And every little side character had a role in it. I loved it. I loved that kind of thing.
I love holiday specials too. Like on shows that's not what normally happens and they switch it up. I love it.
Yeah, and something about Tiny Toons. They really put a lot of film references in there for kids our age that they didn't need to do because it was way over our heads.
So much went over our 90s baby heads. Whew.
So anyway, this is the first installment of my Trilogy of Terror. So keep your loved ones close and lock your doors. And here we go. We all have an evil side. A part of us that is so vile, even we are too ashamed to show it. The traits of this hidden personality can be the ultimate test for any close friend, loved one, or parent. And let's be honest, if our mothers decided to turn and run at the first sign of what their creation has become, we would totally understand.
I am a monster.
Our respectable, forward-facing personas hate this side, just as much as the people on the receiving end of its wrath. We know how to act, but sometimes the monster within must feed on a strict diet of hurt feelings and sabotage. The best we can do is hope that our relationships are strong enough to withstand the mess that our evil selves create. Because let's face it, we all have a short list in our heads of people we scared off with our less than savory behavior.
It's that creep with a podcast.
Luckily for most of us, we have found a way to contain this inner beast. Through breathing exercises, affirmations, and the morning coffee, we can continue tricking the general public into thinking we are respectable human beings. However, like a stray turd in a swimming pool, our dark side finds its way to the surface, no matter how much work we put in. And just like that brown log, it's drenched in sin and causes everyone to need a long shower.
It's in my hair.
It's like the classic tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The good doctor was a saint of a human. I assume he always helped old ladies across the street and didn't shy from tipping waiters at restaurants that automatically charged gratuity.
And keep the change.
Unfortunately, though, he had a dark side, an evil personality that took too much work to compress. So Dr. Jekyll attempts to create a serum that would contain his evil side once and for all. But we all know how that story goes. The serum turns Dr. Jekyll into a physical manifestation of all his dark desires, even stripping his doctorate from him and making him go by Mr. Hyde. The newly formed Mr. Hyde then begins popping up more often, going on late-night beating sprees, and eventually committing murder. We've all been there. My Mr. Hyde moments popped up a lot throughout my 20s. Anytime I would move too fast in a relationship or go into self-preservation mode after a love interest sent me mixed signals, it would usually end in me acting out in some way.
Why don't you like me?
I cringe for those days, knowing just how unaware I was of myself. Now, that side of me isn't some fun, cartoony split personality like the Dr. Jekyll story from 1886. Through therapy and self-reflection, I found that I've just got abandonment and self-worth issues due to my birth mother not really being a part of my life. The insecurities from the truths I've carried for the last 30 years do cause the self-preservation mode to creep up at times, but I fight those feelings with honest self-talk, not some kind of lab-created serum. Today's first installment to my October trilogy of terror has to do with the dark side that we all have within us. The evil that caused Dr. Jekyll to kill, and me to tell girls I love them too soon, is the same mysterious force that will turn our main character into a petty criminal. Our story takes place in the spookiest and most cliché locale for a scary story: suburban America. There's a certain uniformity that comes with the suburban way of life. The houses proudly stand next to their almost identical counterparts, leaving no surprises to a first-time visitor. However, past the aesthetically pleasing view of this neighborhood, all similarities stop here. Thanks to HOA rules and enforced community standards, no home is allowed to stand out too far from the crowd. This allows a given street or district to maintain a certain level of prestige and assumed affluence.
Hello, rich neighborhood.
But when any group or person is too focused on how things seem from the outside, it allows more questionable acts to exist on the inside. This was doubly true for Steve, a family man living in Chickasha, Oklahoma. Steve put in the work to keep up with appearances and provide for his loving family. He worked a job that required a tie. He was always quick to volunteer and always gave out full-size candy bars during Halloween. Steve was beloved by his community. Other men wanted to be him, and the local PTA mom secretly hoped he would divorce his wife so they could form a blended family with him.
I wish he was my daddy.
But just like the mystery every cookie-cutter suburban home conceals, Steve's very approachable identity was no different. From the outside looking in, Steve had it all, and he handled it flawlessly. He always left for work on time, his grass never exceeded 3.5 inches in length, and his children were successful at every sport they tried. But deep down, Steve had an appetite for evil. And let's just say, his tummy had been growling. As Steve typed away at his report, he was approached by his supervisor, Mr. Boss. "Hey Steve, I'm going to need you to print 2 copies of what you're working on when you're done," Mr. Boss stated nicely. Steve took one long sigh and looked at his boss, quite frustrated. "Why?" he asked in a very annoyed tone. Taken aback by this response, Mr. Boss approached the situation cautiously. "All I'm asking is for you to print 2 copies instead of 1, Steve. It's no big deal." A low, swirling atmosphere of rage surrounded Steve as he imagined picking up his wireless keyboard and beating Mr. Boss with it. With the image of Mr. Boss crying at his feet, Steve was able to crack a smile and return to his normal, helpful demeanor. "You're right, I'll do that right now," he said in a chipper tone, before clicking the arrow, making his number of copies 2 instead of 1. These encounters were very common for Steve. For the last 10 years, the life of a rule-following family man had really gotten to him. Each time his boss had a request, the HOA changed a rule, or his wife wanted a new appliance, he was quick to do whatever was necessary to keep everyone happy. Everyone but himself. Sure, the daydreams of criminal acts became much more frequent, but he was always able to keep himself from actually acting them out. Arriving home, Steve slipped into his house clothes before sitting down for dinner. His wife Marge kissed him on the head before setting his dinner plate down in front of him. "What the fuck is this?" Steve said, looking at his plate of homemade mashed potatoes and meatloaf. "I decided to do something special and make a homemade dinner for tonight," Marge said, very proud of her work. But criminal anger quickly returned to Steve as he imagined hurling the dinner plate across the house. "I thought we were having pizza!" Steve yelled out loud. Marge immediately began crying as she took the kids and went to her mother's. Steve remained frozen in shock. This was the first time he had ever spoken part of an angry scenario out loud. Needing some man time, Steven called his best friend Bill over to chat. "My condition is worsening," Steve said, tossing a rock into the street. "I'm telling you, man, it ain't natural for a man to ignore his needs like that. Sometimes us men need to reconnect with our animal urges. If you don't do it, you could implode," Bill responded. "Here, take a swig of this. It'll put some hair back on your chest." Steve crossed his eyes, looking down at the unmarked bottle in Bill's hand. He hadn't touched a drop of alcohol since college. But I'm a family man," Steve whimpered. "Listen," Bill replied. "This serum here will give you the control over your other half that you need. There's no problem that alcohol can't fix. Now drink it." With nothing else to lose, Steve grabbed the bottle and drank it down to its last drop. He then dropped the bottle as the transformation began. Steve fell to the floor, rolling around in pain. He could feel the weight of others' needs lifting off his chest, as all he felt was pure masculine power.
I am all that is man.
Instead of removing the petty personality within him, Steve had morphed himself into a petty criminal.
"Come on, Bill. Let's do all the things we've always wanted,"
Steve yelled as the 2 drunk assholes ran off into the night. The next day, police were called to a nearby home reporting a break-in. The police scoured the scene for clues. "It's a textbook breaking and entering," one officer said to another, pointing at the back door that had been kicked in. "Yeah, whoever pulled this off was intent on doing bad," another spoke up. With the help of the homeowner, the faceless officers created a list of the stolen items. 2 flat-screen TVs, an air conditioner, a golf bag with clubs, 1 Presto deep fryer, and a few other miscellaneous items. Altogether, the homeowner had come up with about $4,000 worth of stolen property. But just as the officers were about to chalk this up as another break-in that can't be traced, that's when one officer came across the granddaddy clue of them all.
Holy shit, look at this!
As all the officers ran to check on their partner, it became abundantly clear what they had seen. The trail went greasy. "My God, it's grease," one officer said. "We better see where it leads," another said, pulling out their magnifying glass. Together, the group of police officers followed the grease trail out the back door, down the sidewalk, across the street, and directly to the back gate of Steven's house. The deputies knocked on the front door, where they were greeted by a disheveled-looking Steve. "Good morning, officers. How may I help you on this fine Saturday?" Steve said in a very respectful way. Sir, we believe this house may have some stolen items in it. Do you mind if we take a look around? One officer asked. Steve consented as he made small talk with one of the officers. I'm a family man, you know. In no time, all of the items had been recovered, including more grease stains leading to the fryer hiding in the utility cabinet. This is one sick bastard, one officer said to the other. Hiding the stolen items in the baby's crib? And he doesn't even seem guilty. That can't be the same person who committed this crime. Yeah, this one takes the cake all right, the other responded. Just look at these family photos. This was the perfect suburban family with a monster hidden in plain sight. The two officers shook their heads as one looked at the other and said the only thing a person could say in this situation. Damn shame. In May of 2015, a home in Chickasha, Oklahoma had been burglarized, missing about $4,000 worth of items. Some of those items being 2 TVs, an air conditioner, and a Presto deep fryer. According to the arrest affidavit, the officer observed noticeable grease spots on the concrete of the back porch. Grease spots continued west from the reporting party's back door and continued across the road to the backyard gate of a house at the 110th block of West Colorado Avenue. The trail led police right to the home of Stephen McCarthy. According to KFOR.com, McCarthy consented to a search, and they found 2 TVs and 2 fishing poles under a child's bed, the air conditioner in a child's closet, a camera in a baby's crib, and the deep fryer in the utility room above the dryer. Stephen McCarthy and his friend William Bitch were arrested for burglary, but bonded out. One neighbor that was interviewed said, Steve, the guy that lives here, is a great guy. He's a great character. He's a family man, so it's just a little unexpected. Along with the words of this neighbor, the victim herself stated that she was friends with Stephen before the incident and will remain his friend after he returned all of his stolen property. In the probable cause affidavit, McCarthy apologized to the police and also said he knew it was wrong, but he was intoxicated on alcohol and broke into the residence anyway. As you can see, no one is immune to having an evil side. Sometimes it takes the right situation or the right amount of alcohol, and people can transform before our very eyes. The case of Stephen McCarthy shows us that even the squeakiest of clean people have some skeletons in their closet. Nobody is perfect, and that grease can ruin your day in more ways than just staining your clothes. So if you have a petty criminal side that needs to come up for air sometimes, I suggest you find a way to release some of that tension. Or at least just be so well liked that if you rob someone, they will forgive you after.
Holy hell. So the neighbor's like, super nice guy, got drunk, all is well. He gave me my shit back.
Yeah, I mean, she actually just went out of her way and said that. She was like, oh yeah, he's my friend, and he's still going to be my friend.
He's a family man.
Yeah, I thought it was so weird that with this story, the thing that's going to stick with it the most is that the grease trail gave him away.
Yes.
But I just could not get over the fact that he was a family man, almost like these other true crime stories that you hear and stuff. It's like, oh, he was a deacon in his church, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was such a family man that the woman called the police when her stuff was stolen. But then when she found out it was him, she was like, shoot. That nut, we have bad days, right? He's still cool.
Oh my God. I guess I'm trying to imagine. I have a good example. I think that if Bob or Martha, okay, got lit one night, my neighbors, and they stole something, and then the cops came, and there was a grease trail, and there was, all this stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically, I would probably forgive them. Because if that is so far out of their character, and they're like your favorite neighbor of all time...
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying to go and rob your neighbors, okay? Because you probably won't be forgiven. But I'm just saying, if he was that great, maybe.
And that's the thing, too, is I went back and forth so many different ways on how I was going to think this one through. Because, yeah, I mean, he seems like a great guy, but I don't know how good of a neighbor he was.
Right.
Because I've got the neighbors on both sides of my house. They're fine people.
Yeah.
They're fine to talk to. We wave and whatnot. But if any of them broke in my house and took something of mine... Be like, no, like a neighbor to me is just one step above other car on the highway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're just a bit better than a stranger, but you're not that much.
I still don't want you breaking in and stealing my things.
Yeah, like I would feel so weird if, let's say, even a decent friend of mine.
What if I came in and I stole 4 $5,000 worth of fryers and pliers and whatever.
Yeah, like if you took my TV and I was without a TV for a day.
And your air conditioner, that's honestly, okay, my mindset has changed. If Bob and Martha came in and took our TVs, I'd be really upset. You're right.
The bond between an American and their TV is very close.
And where was this again? What city was
Oklahoma.
it?
Oh,
Oklahoma.
Chickasha.
Chickasha. God, that was a tough one for you. Yeah, I guarantee that they need their AC.
I'm going to guess it was probably just a window unit.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, maybe it was an attic window unit or like an upstairs window unit. I don't know. But it seemed like such a drunk thing too when you hear the stories like, oh, he hid some under their children's bed. Oh, he put a camera in the baby crib. All over the place.
Oh my God. I just feel like it had to been way out of character for him, but still very weird and very invasive, and you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. But yeah, he was a family man, and apparently everybody loved him because the neighbor loved him, and then the person he stole from still decided to love him.
I don't know. That might be a cult in formation.
It really might.
Like a neighborhood cult. They're like, oh, he's so great. They're blinded. They're blinded by the light.
Mm-hmm. He'll do it again.
So I did have a connection.
Okay.
We both had stories of theft where the perpetrators were intoxicated by alcohol and by love.
Steven was in love?
My people were in love, and your guy was
Oh,
intoxicated.
they were just intoxicated,
yes,
period. Okay,
yes. They were intoxicated. Yours by alcohol, mine by love, and they were both theft.
In a sense, you could almost say they were crimes of passion.
Honest to God. I guess he was really passionate about the air fryer or whatever.
I just imagine that if you're that perfect of a guy, you're probably hiding something, and you probably just got to let it out.
That's true. That's true.
It's just also kind of funny because when you think of those stories, I think of like BTK and stuff like that, where they're like super upstanding citizens.
Yeah.
It's just funny to think that if you snap, it's just to do a petty criminal act.
Right.
So it's fun to think of his evil form just being a person who steals a couple TVs.
Right. It's still pretty weird now that I'm thinking
weird
about it, but at least he's not being a BTK type of person.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be some weird neighborhood tea. It's just like, oh, the guy back behind me got drunk one night, broke into my house, took 2 TVs and a deep fryer. And people were like, yeah, I thought that guy was perfect. What a weirdo.
Dude, that would be some neighborhood tea. I'd be like, listen up, guys.
Mm-hmm. Like, what else has this guy got going on?
Very weird. It is interesting, though, that mine was only worth the $10 and yours was $4,000.
Right.
And my people got in trouble way more than your guy did, and he still had all of his loving neighbors on his side. So
That's true. Your people did something pretty menial, which I think in a lot of cases, the misunderstanding would have never even came to charges or court time.
Mm-hmm.
And then my guy does something really bad and almost kind of feels personal a little bit. And then the person who's the victim's like, we're still cool.
Yeah.
So that's a very funny kind of interesting thing for us too. We should have just swapped our punishments around.
Let my people live.
They should have just said sorry and got away with it. Instead, Steven said sorry, gave it back, and they're like,
Yeah, they're like, what a guy. What a family man. But what a time, Trevin. I'm excited to continue on with the month of October, my favorite time of year. You're getting married soon. There's so much happening. Holy hell.
Yeah, I know. I took a week of everything slowing down just to get it back 100 miles per hour again.
Yep. So I hope everyone out there is just having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to steal pumpkins.
Bye.
See ya.
Did anyone else catch Taylor Swift at the Chiefs game recently? Well, either way, thanks for noticing our show.
And did you find us over one of our guest appearances, or did you meet me at CrimeCon? Follow us on social media and tell me hello. Live Laugh Larceny at TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Threads.
And have you ever broken into your neighbor's home? Please let us know if you have. Send us your petty crime story, livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And give our show the same reviews that most people would give that resort. 5 stars. But you can afford us. Live Laugh Larceny on Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods. Stephen McCarthy and his friend William Bitch were arrested for burglary. Okay, so it's spelled Bitschche. It could be bitchy. Bitchy.
There are, on average, 17% more crime-related crimes on Halloween.
Crime-related crimes?
That's not what I meant to say at all. Oh, Jesus, Trevin. You can tell we've been out of this for a while.